please, my friends, if you would stand up and welcome our partner in education, Colin Kaepernick.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I think they want us down here, Mr. Kaepernick. But before we get started with our fireside chat with this phenomenal young man, I just want to have a seat, sir. You can go ahead and have a seat. I just want to go ahead and make a few remarks about the school district in which he is partnering with, so everybody know how phenomenal we are. And I think he has some knowledge about that. He hears about us all over the country. And I want y'all to know, because I've been telling y'all how special you are. And it's not just because I'm saying it. It's bearing out in our data. You're talking about a school system that has come a mighty long way from its loss of accreditation now to being one of the thought leaders in education, not only in the state, but across the country. And I can't thank our academic team led by Dr. Young, Dr. Colbert, and so many others for lifting us so high. We were able to show advancements across all grade levels and all subject matters, with the exception of ELA, and that was a statewide thing. And we were able to show academic gains across all grade levels, all subject matters in the tested areas. We had the highest CCRPI single score in the entire Metro Atlanta area, with almost a 19-point swing. And I can't wait for the graduation data to be unembargoed so we can share with this community. And I think y'all are going to be very proud of the accomplishments that we're doing in terms of producing graduates to go out into the world. We're closing in on the state, y'all. We're making some incredible accomplishments. And y'all know we're a discipline that don't play. What I mean by that is we hold everybody accountable. We hold our staff accountable, certainly. We hold our community accountable. We hold our students and our parents accountable. We don't just support you. We don't just give you opportunity, which is what a lot of school systems does. But what we also do is that third thing in public education is hold folks accountable. That's why we're pretty tough. You can support them, you can give them opportunities. But if not trained up to know how to compete and conduct themselves in the world, they might fail. So we make certain that we hold folks accountable. So we're doing some extraordinary things here, Mr. Kaepernick. We're setting the tone. We're thought leaders. We're building incredible environments, thanks to the citizens approving us to be able to spend nearly $1 billion in capital improvements. We got a great board that supports our initiatives. We focus on academics, obviously our core work, but they've invested over $80 million in our athletic facilities across our high schools. So I want you to know that's the district in which you're embarking on. And also we bold. We are. We're a bold individual. We believe in diversity because we got so many wonderful students that come to us from across the globe. We believe in being inclusive because we accept all. And we're very equitable. Now we ain't a DEI system, we're a DIE system. That's what we are. They want to play games with us, we can play games because we don't want to lose our funding. But we are making certain that we are supportive of all students. So that's who you're embarking with in terms of your partnership with public education and with us. So I just want you to have some idea about that, Mr. Kaepernick. Now, okay, and also once you hear Mr. Kaepernick respond and speak, he can very well be a superintendent. He can very well be a principal. He can very well be an academic leader. He has that pedigree, and I'm sure you will agree with me once you hear him talk the talk and walk the walk. All right, pass the mic to him. Okay.
Oh, amazing. How's everybody doing today? Good. All right, amazing. Well, I'm very excited to be here today. Wanted to start by sharing a little bit of background on what got me to this point, how Lumi was founded, We'll share a quick video of some of the work that we've done, and then jump into a conversation. So a little bit of background of what got us here. So I've spent the last 10 years working on Know Your Rights Camp, which is the philanthropic side of our efforts. We have done educational camps around the country focused on teaching history, legal rights, financial literacy, how to get into higher education, holistic health, tech. And how do we actually advance our communities in a way that is relatable to them, a way that puts them at the forefront, and making sure that we have the resources we need to be able to be successful. Now, as we've been doing that over the last 10 years, we have had a lot of phenomenal learnings. The second part of this is I've been building a media company and publishing company for the last 10 years and 6 years, respectively. That was focused on access and opportunity for Black and brown creators, often being left out of the room, narratives often not being represented. When the projects have been greenlit, oftentimes those narratives shift in that process and don't reflect our communities. So how do we actually open doors and pathways there? And part of that was also opening the pathway for ownership. The third piece of this that has led to Lumi is the last 8 years I've been angel investing in startups, advising venture firms. Actually had the opportunity to sit on the board of Medium with Ev Williams and Biz Stone, two of the co-founders of Twitter. So got to see how tech companies are being built, how they think about actually scaling companies and creating opportunities that way. All of those learnings and insights have merged into what is Lumi now. And what we've realized with Lumi is on this journey, we can actually use storytelling as an effective way to advance students. Right now, we're seeing student engagement increase. We're seeing literacy improve. We're building their AI skills in that process as well. When we look at student engagement, we obviously all know we've lost approximately 4 million students since COVID. Absenteeism, chronic absenteeism is a major issue. The other thing that we have consistently heard is when students do show up, are they engaged? So how we actually approach that is we give student agency in that process to be able to relate to the curriculum in the way that they want to and the way they see fit. And that is driving student engagement. Right now, our partners in Newark are seeing increased attendance in the schools that are using Lumi. Second part of this, on the literacy side, we have seen that if we put a book in front of students, they may or may not be interested. It may or may not be relatable to them. If we put them in the driver's seat and tell them to create the story and narrative that fits them, not only are we getting them to read, but we're getting them to write, we're getting them to critically think, we're getting them to comprehend and apply that knowledge. So that gets us into some of the higher level functions of Bloom's taxonomy. It gets them to show depth of knowledge in the process, and that is a way that we can advance them there. And the third piece, and I would say this is one that is, I would say, most critical in this moment, is building their AI skills. Right now, I believe we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to drastically close gaps. AI is either going to be exponentially gap closing or exponentially gap widening. We have seen the impact of the digital divide on our communities. We can't replicate that in this scenario. So how do we make sure that our students, our communities, our teachers, administrators are all at the forefront of this and building the future as opposed to reacting to it? Now, as we think about all of those things on the student side, we have also realized and know that we have to make sure that we are preparing our teachers and administrators. So as we go through our onboarding and implementation, we follow that with biweekly meetings with our teachers. And this is our way of doing low-dose professional learning to make sure that our teachers understand AI, how that relates to their curriculum, and ultimately how that shows up in their classroom. So we want to make sure they have to understand what they're implementing and doing that with fidelity in the process. Now, the exciting part of this is while we're doing all of this work, this is focused on a showcase at the end of the school year. Now, the showcase at the end of the school year becomes our opportunity to highlight and celebrate students' work. It's also our opportunity to bring parents in the community into the classroom and schools and get them excited about what's happening. And then the third piece of it is a little more on the business side. We get to bring corporate and philanthropic partners into the mix. So, oh, how about this one? This one's low battery. This one says low battery. Oh, there we go.
Okay, right.
All right. Oh, yeah, that's way louder. All right. So we get to focus all of that on a showcase at the end of the school year. Now, we'll show a video in a little bit of the work that we did in Newark this past year. But just to give you a sense, our goal with this event was we know students are excited about prom. We know they're excited about homecoming. How we thought about this is within the educational realm, what is the event within a school year that students are like, I have to be there? And what we typically see is that doesn't exist. Like, all right, I go to school, but like I'm looking forward to the after school activities, prom, homecoming. We want this to be the event that students are fighting to get into and using the academic opportunity as the driver to get them there. The last piece that I'll say in relation to this is we operate across K-12. We support all subject matters and want to give a few examples of how this has shown up in classrooms. So we have seen this in ELA, social studies, art, business, technology, science. This is in ESL classrooms. We support all languages on the platform. We have also seen this in special education classrooms. Actually, the last one that we've seen, and we just saw this summer, is math. We had an algebra class that was using the platform. So, few examples. We had a ELA class, AP English class, that was doing a project on Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. Young woman took the themes from Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye, related that to her personal story, and infused those narratives into her own story as part of that process to show she understood the material. We had a social studies class that the teacher gave the assignment to the students to pick a key figure from the American Revolution, French Revolution, or Haitian Revolution. This young woman chose the French Revolution, told the story from Marie Antoinette's fictional daughter's perspective, and showed that she was grappling with her parents being royalty while also empathizing with the people of France. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I would never come up with that assignment. But we're seeing students engage in their creativity and engagement come to life in ways that just wasn't happening prior. Two other ones that I'll share. We had an AP physics class. We had a few different stories, really interesting come out of this. Doing a project around Newton's laws. We had a young South African student that told the story around a food fight and used the food fight to display her knowledge of acceleration, momentum, velocity. But she wrote it, this was the interesting part. She wrote this for the 5th grade students in her school. Coming out of that, she also said, I want to be able to publish this and create other stories like this to create access and opportunity and make science fun for my peers. So it's not just the content that's being created, it's also about how students are engaging with it and how they view themselves and the opportunity in front of them. Last one that I'll share, we had a student, and this gets a little deeper into cross-curricular opportunities. We had a student in the ELA class that pulled in some of the lessons from his biology class. He created a story around an inventor who created a magic fork. Now, the magic fork allowed this student to transport to different times, different places in this process. What he shared after the fact was that magic fork represented his mother. He also shared that his mother had died 5 years earlier. Now, this student had never shared this before. Not with his classmates, not with his teachers, not with his principals. So while we're seeing them engage with the curriculum and advancing and showing proficiency there, we're seeing the social emotional side come to life, we're seeing creativity come to life, and we're seeing them just engage differently in this process. So we're looking at how do we advance students, build agency, build student voice, and ultimately create the outcomes that we want in the process.
All right. Wonderful. Impressive. Very impressive. I'm an old principal, so I'll use my principal voice. I'll let you use the mic. But you're used to calling plays pretty loud, too.
I would say
so you might not need that mic
we can get it projected.
But anyway, Mr. Kaepernick, you are well known as a successful quarterback and one who courageously stands up for what's right. In what ways does Lumi serve as a continuation of your work for equity and justice, specifically giving space to stories that have historically been excluded?
Yeah, absolutely. I look at this a few different ways, or a few different pillars of this. One, giving students voice and agency in the process is incredibly powerful. What we're seeing is when you do that, students are engaging in different ways. They're speaking up and bringing their ideas to the forefront, and they're telling incredible stories and narratives that their teachers, principals, and schools aren't expecting. So how do we create space for them to drive the engagement with the curriculum and allow our teachers to be guides in this process? That's one component. Second component of this is when we look at stories that our students are engaging with, we've continuously heard that the work doesn't represent them. Their stories aren't properly represented, our communities aren't properly represented. So when we look at trying to address this and trying to address it at scale, allowing our students to create is a way to actually get them to create the stories and narratives that haven't been represented. Now, we saw this on the publishing side. This is a little bit more on the business component of this. We have phenomenal stories that were being told, phenomenal creators. Wasn't scalable. Just how the publishing industry functions, profit margins, all of that, not a scalable business. When we look at students driving that interaction, that becomes infinitely scalable. Their stories can be represented, all voices in the room can be heard, and we're seeing them collaborate and interact with each other and their stories in the process as well. So not only are they telling their own stories, they're getting exposed to their peer stories. That's also building stronger relationships. The third piece of this is when we look at AI, we talked about this earlier, this is a generational opportunity for us in our communities. Again, we have to be at the forefront of this. To give a little bit of background, again, this is a little bit of a CEO hat that ties in here. This year alone, major tech companies have laid off over 100,000 workers because of the impact of AI within their companies. 75% of employers today are looking for AI skills. So when we look at future-ready skills for our students, when we look at what our teachers and administrators have to be prepared for and have to be teaching them to be ready for, that future is today. I will say even so much, it has changed our own hiring plans. It has changed the hiring profiles that we look for in our company. So this is something that we have to be prepared for. And then the last piece of this, when we think about equity and justice within it, how we are advancing students within the platform, how we are supporting teachers in this process becomes incredibly important and incredibly powerful. So one of the things that we have heard consistently from districts across the nation, education essentially exists in a silo. I learn English, I learn social studies, I learn math, I learn science. Those don't communicate with each other. The opportunity now is to have those different subject matters, be able to communicate with each other and surface insights to those teachers in the process. So while we are focused on stories, we're also building the infrastructure to support teachers better and student advancement better. The second part of that is then being able to look at that across school years. Essentially, students coming in every year, teachers have a blank slate of students that they have to learn, they have to understand where they're at, what knowledge did they previously learn and engage with, and this is a way that we can now surface those insights to teachers across years to better support them and better help student advancement in that process as well. So a few different ways that we look at justice and making sure that we are moving our communities, our students, teachers, and districts forward.
Wonderful. And y'all heard the data that Dr. Hendricks laid out. You hear the information that Mr. Kaepernick is sharing with us from an educational and a business sense. We know that the world is shifting. Is Clayton County going to be on the forefront, or are we going to be looking from behind? And I think, based on the talent in this room, that we all embrace the fact that we got to move away a little bit from compliance and tradition and start looking at the future and making certain that our students are totally prepared. Whether you agree with AI philosophically or not, it's here. It ain't going anywhere. And we've been under the notion that it won't take root for 8, 9, 10, 12 years. I ask that we think again about that. Another question for you, sir. You have expressed that publishing and media have long been controlled by a few powerful players. How does Lumi redistribute that power so creators, particularly those from marginalized communities, can own their own narratives and their economic futures?
Absolutely. So a few things we think about in relation to that. One, when we think about students creating and engaging on the platform, they own all of the content they create. So if Netflix comes to them and says, we love this story you created, we want to turn it into a movie, we want to turn it into a series, they have no obligation to us. It's theirs. They can take and do whatever they would like with it. On the publishing side, the opportunity that we see is as we're doing showcases and we're seeing students create phenomenal work, background in publishing creates the opportunity for us to physically publish those works. Those can show up in the classroom. Those can show up as part of the school's libraries. More broadly, looking at opportunities for students to become published authors in the process as well. Now, the ownership component of that and the equity component of it is as students' works are being published, as we think about traditional publishing, you do a rev share with your authors. When we think about students, this is what we're working with districts on, is allocating a portion of that revenue to the students to then go into a account that they would then have access to as they graduate. So how do we help set them up for the future? Same dollars that districts are spending on books today would be an investment into books, but also supporting the future of students.